My download speed was a 12.4
Ooh,
Mbps. My upload is around
yeah,
11 MB megabits. So,
yeah. I could push
um,
through.
Looks like I got 217 down, 10 up.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I'm usually like around 60.
well, aren't we all Mr. Fancy
I
Pants
mean,
over
I mean,
here?
not to brag, but you
Not
are
to
I should be
brag.
hosting this.
And now it's time for us to digest the lowest rung of pop culture so you don't have to. You're tuned in to the all-new CultureCast. I'm Nick.
on the Gorehound.
This is Rick.
And Cousin Charles.
And we're back with the all-new CultureCast talking about Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, the last installment of the now titled Skywalker Saga.
This is the last installment of nothing. I mean, they are just getting rolling.
Yeah, yeah, they'll be give it another 10 years, they'll be episode 10 or something, or suddenly I don't know, but
It's the end of some timeline.
yeah, but
They're going to be. Yeah.
so we're collected here today to discuss this one. This has been a long time coming, and I have to say, every time I've suggested this one, Rick, you've been kind of Charlie, when I texted you earlier this week, as well as Gorehound when I texted you, both of you had like a similar response, like claiming you didn't know the movie or you didn't know who I was.
Wait,
So
what movie are we talking about?
yeah, that was the response that you gave me. Yes,
I
so
know. It was a good response. I have to admit.
it was pretty good. Yeah, you said it was straight to DVD.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
now nothing is even straight to DVD. I should have said straight to streaming.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
the
Netflix
new
original, right?
Well, this ain't
So
no Artemis Powell.
I have a feeling I know where everyone stands based on the reaction to this. So I guess we'll go a real quick go around. Uh, Rick, I'll start with you. What was your initial feelings of the Rise of Skywalker?
That it made me like The Last Jedi better. I think
Gorehound,
it
what
was
about? Oh, sorry.
it was a very hollow movie. Very
Can we get a
hollow.
reminder of the previous two titles?
The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi.
Okay.
All right. Gorehound, what was your opinion of the Rise of Skywalker?
I saw it in theaters and opening week or something, and like I liked it. I'm not like too critical on the like logic of movies. You know, I go into a movie to see like something that is fun and enjoyable, and like I came out and I was like, I liked it. It was fun. You know, it but I'm also comparing this a lot to was this Jar Jar Binks or something? Those. And so I'm like, this is very on par with the original content. And so I was like, I like it. It was fun. I like Rey. So I'm also not like too big into Star Wars. Like I respect it as a very big cultural phenomenon, but like I think very rarely. I think I would put most Marvel movies above a Star Wars movie in the level of. Actually, I don't know about that, but they're like on par. They're not 5 out of 5s, but I'm not gonna watch them during Halloween. So
Fair enough. Cuz, what about you? What was your thoughts on the Rise of Skywalker? Initial thoughts.
My initial thoughts were never love anything. Never care about anything because they will, even if you think that they may be onto something, they will double back and they will double back hard. And that's a lot of my thoughts of with this movie was I'm in that minority that actually thought The Last Jedi was good and did things that were interesting. I'm not going to use the phrase that people commonly use, the subverting expectations, but I will say Last Jedi was interesting. This was pretty much everything I feared, and yeah, you can't trust the system.
Well, I think you're all crazy. I thought the movie was great. It was the best of all the sequels, and dare I say, probably the best Star Wars movie. I used to think it was Empire. This one has it edged out. And I'm
Wait,
being
wait.
completely sarcastic right now.
Oh,
Oh, thank
okay,
God.
okay.
You had me going there for a second. I was like,
No, this movie, it has its moments, and I'm convinced there's a good movie in there somewhere.
So what's your biggest criticism of it?
my my biggest criticism,
Yeah.
it just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes, and there's no breathing. I mean, it just stuff just happens, and it's you don't have a time to absorb, and
Okay.
there are a lot of I don't want to say plot holes, but there's a lot of things that like this is clearly meant to be a uh
Yeah, no. I was watching
what's the
some
term I'm
YouTube
looking for?
videos and like I saw like, wow, there really are a lot of bad things about this. But like the bad things weren't like really enough to detract from the fun of it. Did you have fun watching it?
I did not have fun at all.
Yeah.
I honestly hated every single moment of it. There was maybe literally like 60 seconds worth of film that could be salvaged from this.
Do you like
Uh,
Kylo Ren?
well, I do like Kylo Ren, but not in this. I mean, so
Okay.
here, let me back up a little bit. So, like in The Last Jedi, that movie really upset me. But then now that I've seen this movie and I go back, I appreciate Last Jedi more. Like visually, it was very stunning. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of things in that movie that I do like. Like I do like the fight scene between Kylo and Rey, and the whole thing with Snoke and how they killed Snoke. And I didn't really like the idea of Rey not really having any specific parents and her just being a nobody. But it was interesting,
I don't know.
and
Like
I was
it
like,
was
let's
like
go with it.
I
Let's just go with it.
I really wanted to see just like I the whole parentage thing was very disappointing because every at the end of the first one they were like, who are her parents? We have to figure it out. And like, okay, we figured it out, but it's like, uh,
Right, it was disappointing, but it's like once you go there, let's not go. Like if uh what's his name? Ryan? Was it like
Ryan
the guy
Johnson.
Ryan
Ryan
Johnson?
Johnson.
Once
Ryan with an
Ryan
I.
messed up, you just have to go with it. You just have to go with it. This movie just went back and was like, okay, well, they messed up the parents, we'll fix that. Luke got really written off, we'll try to fix that.
So can we backtrack a moment? What's who directed this one
This was the one and only Mr. J.J. Abrams.
and who did the
Uh,
previous two?
Ryan Johnson did Last Jedi, and Mr. J.J. Abrams did Force Awakens.
Okay, so it was
Him and-
JJ Ryan JJ.
Yes.
Okay,
This
I
is-
follow.
For the most part, this is a J.J. Abrams sandwich with a Ryan Johnson center.
I see. I follow.
Yeah, but the problem here though
I
is
don't
that
follow, but I move
I think
forward.
The Force Awakens was a passion project by J.J. Abrams. I think when people were making that, people were passionate about it. They're passionate about the story, about although people do say it is kind of a rehash, it's like getting back into it and everything. I really enjoyed that movie a lot. But this one, if you read, there was so many behind the scenes issues.
Mhm.
Like this is no one's movie. This is a mishmash of mistakes and the studio interfering. Like Palpatine wasn't even the original bad guy. Apparently, like as they were, writing the story or filming it, um, Iger, who's like, Disney CEO or whatever or president,
Yeah.
he actually came in and he said, no one's gonna know who this bad guy is. Just put Palpatine in. So they just stuck him in, right? So it was not even the plan to begin with, and it was JJ and another guy who were writing this story, and they were told to start writing it 6 months before The Last Jedi came out, and they weren't allowed to see the script or know anything about The Last Jedi. So
That's weird.
from the beginning to end, it was just a huge disaster. And then there were multiple reshots. Like George Lucas came in, did a whole bunch of additional shots, and
Really?
reworked the story. And they had test screenings. Apparently, this is the rumor that they had test screenings where George Lucas's version got about a score of 70 something, but the version we saw got about 60 something. Kathleen Kennedy didn't want the George Lucas version to be put out. Didn't want George Lucas to come in and rescue them. And I think there was even another director who came in and shot more stuff. And so there's multiple cuts of this movie.
I'm curious on the George Lucas story because that sounds. I'm not saying that's not true, but it sounds too conspiracy theory just
No,
because.
it's true because Hayden Christensen came back and shot scenes, and he was supposed to be a Force
What?
ghost, and he was going to come and speak to Rey. And I'm not a big Doctor Who guy, but whoever was one of the latest Doctor Who doctors
Oh, Matt
was
Smith.
originally going to be the bad guy, and he shot stuff and got cut out because Iger said, no, let's just bring back Palpatine, it'll be easier.
Man, there's going to be a making of book down the line of this, and I'm curious to see how all that shakes out because it's interesting. I would figure if they had a George Lucas version, if they want to course correct everything, they would want to like Lucas came back and helped us out with this stuff, and to get fans back in the line or something like that.
I could
I
kind of see that work. I could kind of see that working. The kind of a hashtag release the Lucas cut.
Oh
But
Jesus!
but I still feel like for the most part, I feel like Lucas's name is still kind of toxic around Star Wars because the moment you bring that up, I think a lot of people's heads immediately start going to the the prequels and stuff like that, which and the mistakes that were involved with that with that trilogy of movies. So I feel like that could, but I also feel like given how toxic some of the response has been from fans from The Last Jedi, I was like, it's like it does feel like the fan base can't go any lower, so might as well.
They what do they say? No one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans, but
Yes.
it's
It
it's
just
interesting.
seems very similar to like what happened with Game of Thrones, right? Where it was going well, and the last season just really shit the bed,
Yeah.
And it seems very similar. Like, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of The Last Jedi. Like I said, there are parts that I did like though, and at the very least, it was Ryan's vision. It had somebody that had a vision behind it. This was just
Made by committee.
like schlock. You know what I mean? It was just like made by committee, just thrown together. I mean, I don't think probably only 40% of this movie is J.J. Abrams, and the rest is just stuff put together.
I can't wait to read more because more of this stuff is going to leak out over time, and like the stories and all the behind the scenes stuff.
Well, I mean, how long
A lot
has
of
this
the
movie been out?
actors hated it. A lot of the actors hated it, and they've said that they're done with Star Wars and it was a disaster. And you could see like when you try to interview the people, like when you see like people interviewing for the end season of Game of Thrones, and the actors are all acting like awkward, and now why. It's very similar to how they interview some of the actors for this last Star Wars movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know very much like the actress who played Rose, who could given a in the last movie she was given kind of like a prominent lead role. In this one, she's more or less a cameo.
Right.
I think there's some interviews with her. She's just like, yeah, I'm here, kind of a little pissed off about the fact that I was promised, I thought I was going to be a bigger part of this, and then they're like, no, fuck off.
Disney
somebody who's very disconnected from the series. I even found that a bit confusing because that seemed to be a very strong lead from the previous one. I was like, okay, they're going to get together. But then it seemed to be completely scrapped. And I was like, huh, that's weird.
Like, Rose, we're going on this mission. You want to come with us? No, I think I'm going to stay here. Oh, okay. Bye.
No,
no,
Finn, I don't think I will.
It's never cater to fans. That sounds bad, but like, do your story the way you want a story. Don't put in what you think fans are going to want because
I don't know. I mean, look at Bruce Campbell. If Bruce Campbell did everything I wanted him to, I mean, I'd be pretty happy.
Okay, well, no two fans are going to be exactly alike, except for Bruce Campbell. He'll do whatever you want, Gorehound. Yeah. But
I mean, with The Last Jedi, I would say that it was the ending of it was very unexpected for a Star Wars movie. Like you expected Snoke to continue on and be like the main bad guy, and then you kill him
No.
at the end, right? But so it was unexpected that he was killed. And what they should have done is they should have just gone ahead and said, okay, fine, and just continued on and had Kylo be the main bad guy. There shouldn't have been like another bad guy on top of him. This whole Palpatine situation,
Hmm.
No,
you
no,
know.
Rick, I will. Rick, I will agree with you with that. Like, definitely, you don't need Palpatine. Kylo's already a more interesting
Mm.
antagonist. You know, when I first watched Force Awakens, I was like, okay, Snoke is pretty much okay. So this is their new version of the Emperor. He's an evil dick who wants to control everything. There's really not much to him. So I was actually, in the back of my head, I'm like, why the hell is this guy in charge? I don't care. He's there just the way Kylo has a boss, because Vader had a boss.
Mm.
And when they killed him off, it was like, all right, the movie was kind of starting to think the way I was thinking. I was like, yeah, you don't need him. He's kind of unnecessary. He's the evil asshole, but that's about it.
Right.
But yeah, and then when they brought back, with the moment in the beginning of this movie when they have the vats full of Snokes, just like kind of showing how useless that character was. So I guess him and his golden pajamas were, I don't know, designed purposely. Like, why do they need multiple Snokes?
Well, the whole movie just starts off very confusing. Like the opening crawl is probably the worst opening crawl I've ever seen in a Star Wars movie. This whole idea of that Emperor Palpatine is broadcasting everybody, like why are you giving away your why are you broadcasting? What are you broadcasting? What is this, like old television? What's happening? And then the fact that Kylo starts off on this planet and you don't even know where he's at or what's going on, but apparently it's supposed to be the planet where I think
Mustafar.
Mustafar, right? And it's
Yeah.
like changed, like the hemisphere's changed or whatever, but you wouldn't know that unless you read about that.
Right. It just looks
Well-
like a red planet.
Well,
Yeah.
going back to how horribly structured this entire film is, do you know? Okay, so if you're a Star Wars fan and you actually wanted to know what that Palpatine was actually broadcasting in the universe, do you know how you would have? Do you know how you would have found that out? Do you guys actually know what I'm
I
talking
know.
about?
I
The
know.
So
Fortnite.
So you have to. Yep. There was a Fortnite event.
Can you back up and explain? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
even play
so-
Fortnite.
I played for about maybe a week, and then I was
Nerd.
yeah. I tried being trendy, but then I realized I'm old and don't like new modern things. I like my old games. But
Give me
apparently,
Sega.
yep. I like my original Xbox. I like my Battlefront 2, and that's all I need. But apparently, if there was an event in Fortnite around the release of Rise of Skywalker, where it's I guess the Fortnite does events kind of like similar, where it's like, okay, if all the people in the server do a certain task, then something gets unlocked. And apparently, there was some sort of event where if everyone in the server did it just right, it would actually play the broadcast that they allude to in the opening crawl. How fucking dumb is that?
That's so stupid.
They could have done that.
Viral
They
marketing
could,
at its worst.
I guess it's like, I mean, I only knew about it like maybe a week or two after the movie came out, that there was actually this thing in a game that I don't play, that I don't plan on playing, and that's a key element of this entire movie story. So yeah, that's just the beginning of some of the structural problems that this movie has.
I feel like this movie is too much like a video game, right? Like we have to get the thing, and then we have to get the other thing, which is like a map, and it's like Goonies, and we just happen to be standing in the right place so that we can hold it up against the Death Star and see where we need to go.
I guess.
And then later when they're on the desert planet and they fall through the sand pit into the caves, and there's a snake, and they heal it, and the snake moves, revealing a door out. And so the snake must have been just sitting there like for
Get your
years,
item.
because the previous alien who had gotten sucked in there, he just died. He can get out, and it's like you can hear like the Zelda music, like doo 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 doo, and it's like, oh god.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. So before this episode went on, I actually rewatched the movie.
I'm sorry.
You own it.
Yeah. No, I got caught up in the streaming wars. I got the Disney Plus thing. So correct me if I'm wrong. They didn't end it So they didn't end up really needing to go through all that stuff, because that first little robot they find, didn't it have like maps or coordinates to like where the Exegol was or something like that?
I don't know.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that I thought I was like, there was after Ray went off on her own and everybody went back to not Yavin 4, because I'm pretty sure. I mean, that'd be pretty dumb if they just went back to their first base. But given how much this sequel trilogy loves nostalgia, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm pretty sure they say that the little robot, the one with just the one wheel, that talked in like that was like a speak and spell or something.
We know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they say, oh yeah, he's got directions on how to get to Exegol the whole time.
I thought it was Ray that led him to Exegol, because they got like, she took Luke's X-wing, and it's like, we're getting a signal from Red 5.
Yeah, I think that was the path of how to get there, but I think the little robot had the actual like.
Well, in the end, it didn't
location.
even really matter anyways, because like apparently the entire fleet of the whole galaxy with the rebels, whoever was coming, they could all just figure it out. They're like, oh yeah, we've been there. We'll show up.
Yeah, Billy D. Williams.
This whole series has too many maps. Like there's like we got to get a map to find Luke. There's a map to get to Exegol, a map to get into the Death Star, and that whole situation with finding that that knife that was supposed to go in the Death Star was so stupid. Like if you reverse engineer that, you're like, okay, so the Death Star crashes, and then somebody goes and creates a map of a crashed Death Star, and it's only been like what 30 or 40 years, right? So what was even the point? You know what I mean? Like it's just it's not like the Goonies where that was a good idea of, oh, we're gonna hide a treasure, and then you know what I mean, that was like well crafted, a good kind of hide and seek type game in the movie, but this in Star Wars, it just didn't make sense at all.
Especially since it doesn't matter at the end of the day, where that doesn't like he destroys the Wayfinder on the Death Star, doesn't he?
Yeah, Kylo shows up immediately and like smashes it to a million pieces.
Like I wouldn't have minded that so much if they didn't go through all that ordeal to get there in the first place. If that was like the first stop they were at, like all right, let's go get this thing, and Kylo's like there and he smashes it. Okay, fine, that's their bump in the road. But it's like 40 minutes of this searching for this thing, and it means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of the Death Star surviving, you can argue like that might be like a stupid idea. I mean, but I can,
that's the least of this movie's problems.
Right, but I mean, I can suspend my disbelief to be like, that's a cool idea. Like if a part of the star like survived, fell on a planet, and there's something cool inside there you need to go get. Like it was just them realizing the Death Star parts were there, and they said to go there and get to it. And the fight on top of the Death Star with the waves, that was cool. But this whole map thing, was really ridiculous.
Well, I was as I was rewatching, I was thinking of things that like minor changes just to make the movie a little bit more palatable. Here's one right off the bat with the knife. You get rid of the stupid little cartographers, like I don't know, what's the protractor, like the protractor ruler that pops out of it.
Could have been like a key or something. Like we need this key to get in a door.
You just make it glow. You just make it glow red. It points you point in direction and it glows red to wherever the Wayfinder is. That's all you need.
I'll take that. That's fine.
And here's how you can even incorporate it in the movie. So the closer you get, it's kind of like the closer you get, it like glows red faster and faster. And then when she gets in that room, boom, it turns into a red lightsaber. Genius.
Perfect. I'll take it.
Yep.
Movie solved. We'll take our check, Disney.
Yep.
Yeah.
Write me up, Mr. Iger.
Like the problem, one of the problem with this movie is that there's never any time to breathe. It's just a thing to get to a thing to get to a thing, and then here's revelation.
You don't really care about anybody. You don't really consider anybody to really be in real danger.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's the death of Chewbacca or the non-death of Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Like they when they blew him up, we thought we blew him up. I'm like, did they really just kill Chewbacca off like that? Like it was very offhandedly,
Yeah.
which is fine because it turned out not to be true. But like they don't waste any time to reveal that didn't actually happen. It's like
Yeah, it
Chewbacca's
was
dead. Next
very
scene.
quick turnaround.
Well, that's the thing. Is like the characters are, Ray, Poe, and Finn are all mourning the death of Chewbacca, but we as the audience have been known for the last 20 minutes that he's fine. He's been fine the whole
Also,
time.
Disney would never kill off a character that specifically you don't ever have to really pay an actor for, because they could just have anybody in the suit at Disneyland, right?
Yeah.
So they'd be the last person to kill off.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
may be.
and Chewbacca will never be killed off. He's just so much fun, and everybody knew that he wasn't going to get killed off. They're like, there's going to be some sort of twist, and it's like, okay, let's just finish this off really quick. Bring him back.
The
so
other
we can
problem
move
is
on.
that this movie introduces way too many new characters in such a short time. It's like, listen, everything's already messed up. You're already throwing Palpatine back in. Don't introduce anybody else. We don't have time for this. Like, introduce the chick with the horses, useless. They bring they bring the one girl that's supposed to be like the bounty hunter lady, who wears a mask the whole time. And isn't that JG's like girlfriend or something like that? And like she's
No, it's
funny.
Sherry Russell, who's been
I
in
don't
a
know.
lot of projects that he's done.
There was something about her getting a lot of money to be in that movie, and then her character was so useless. Like she's there, is gonna turn them in and kill them. Then Ray holds the lightsaber up to her and is about to kill her, and he's like, join her side, and she's like, okay. Then later she's like, oh, by the way, I've been saving up my whole life to get out of here, and look, I got this captain's token. And then 5 minutes later, she's like, oh, here, have the captain's token. You guys can just leave. And don't even take me with you, because I'm useless for the rest of the movie. I'll just stay here. It's fine.
Rick, are you familiar with the YouTube group, the YouTube channel Red Letter Media?
Yes.
Okay. Horse Riding Girl and Carrie Russell served a very important function. They had to show that Finn and Poe had a case of the not gays.
Yes, I heard that as well. Yes.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the horse riding girl, because I like the idea that there's a whole like group out there that are like former stormtroopers like Finn.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting concept, but you're totally right on the money, Rick, that they just put too much in there that you don't have time to explore those concepts. Like that could have been their army. Like say the resistance is so little, then they find this group of like former stormtroopers that will fight with them, and say there's like 1,000 of them. I don't know. Like that is something that would be useful and interesting to the storyline.
Yeah, it's very clear that they were just added in there as placeholders to see if any of the audience really likes them, so they could delve into future series into this.
Yeah.
And then the horse riding girl may or may not be Lando's daughter, who he hits on.
Yeah, that was.
But in defense of Carrie Russell, one of the things that I liked most about this movie is that it looked really cool. It reminded me of the original series, and I was like, these guys look awesome. The costumes look great, the environments look cool, and I thought I didn't see the purpose of Carrie Russell in the moment, but then looking back on it, I'm like, she was a pretty cool character. They never actually showed her face, which I think is a big cop-out when, kind of like Mysterio in Spider-Man Homecoming, where they like show his face all the time, but like in the comics, they don't actually show his face. And so that you don't like that. But in this, you were like, they put a big-name actor and covered her up. And I was like, that is pretty cool and innovative. And so looking back on Carrie Russell, yes, she didn't really serve a purpose, but I thought that she looked really cool and fit in with, the illogical mindset of the movie, which I didn't mind.
I will, to kind of add on to Gorehound's point, I will say that is one of the few positives I can make of this movie is there is a lot, that I give credit to a lot of the people involved. Like somebody, clearly put a lot of time and effort to designing each one of these little places, even though we barely spent any time there.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell somebody put in thought. They're like, okay, well, since each planet is basically one type of environment, what we got? Well, how about a desert party planet? Okay, that's different. We got the village from Temple from Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, where Marion is working the bar. But joking aside, that is the one thing I will say. Like, there are a lot of good practical creature effects, even though a lot of them are just like, there for a scene and gone. But it does feel like a shame. Like, all this work is being put into a story that's very just all over the place and not really
Yeah,
going.
I mean, to be fair though, like, this is Star Wars, and they're gonna put a lot of time and a lot of money into everything, no matter how stupid it is. I mean, how long did it take the CG guy to make the animation of Jar Jar Binks slipping on crap that fell out of the back of an animal on the desert planet?
That took 72 hours to render, good sir.
Exactly on the dot.
Worth every second.
What were your guys' opinions on Babu Frick?
He was my favorite character, the only one I liked. I thought
Yeah.
it was funny and interesting and cute, and it was the one thing I liked. That's my maybe 50 seconds of the movie out of 60 seconds. I liked.
He was the one who was the little alien who's like, "Baba!"
Yeah. And then C-3PO was like, he's my oldest friend. They can't remember anybody.
Oh, that's another thing that kind of pissed me off in this movie is that they have so many reversals. Like, they wipe C-3PO's
The whole
memory.
movie is a reversal, and then
That's
inside of
true.
it's a reversal. It's so meta,
True. Like, they
I
wipe
wish I
his
could
memory.
reversal and get my money back.
They wipe his memory, which honestly would only be for the sequel, the original trilogy and this one, because they wiped his memory in Revenge of the Sith. But and it's supposed to be this huge sacrifice, and but like 5 minutes later he gets his memory back because R2 had a backup, which
And
did provide
they
a good
did-
joke.
they
I did like that.
What was the joke?
It was like R2 was like, here, let me plug in, you can get your memory. And he's like, I will never put a plug in, a strange plug into my head. I will never. And then it hard cut to like later, like, oh, I'm glad I got my memory back. Like, that's a funny gag to me. Like, that worked.
Yeah.
The only thing with C is that he's played off so kind of like sentimental, like, I just want to take one last look at my friends, and then it's like, well, I mean, that's
They're
kinda,
not here.
I mean, if I'll be honest,
no value to it.
They treated him pretty bad.
Yeah, and
You know.
and I'll be honest, I'm not trying to. I hope this doesn't come off mean, but I mean, this movie, the big thing that kind of plagued this movie was the passing of Carrie Fisher, which kind of was a big sort of shadow that weighs over the whole movie. But then they kind of a line like that. It's like, I'll be honest, like if Anthony Daniels died, that'd be really sad if that's like the last time we heard or seen of C-3PO. But no, he gets fine. He gets better. Everything, we didn't need to have that unnecessary sacrifice.
I gotta disagree. I would not miss Anthony Daniels.
Who is he?
What else?
C-3PO.
Oh, gotcha.
Apparently he's a real like a-hole in real life.
Oh, he is? Oh,
Yeah, that's what I hear too.
Well, I missed that boat.
He walks around thinking his shit doesn't stink.
This movie didn't want to take any chances. Like, they didn't have any balls, you know what I mean? Like, they should have just wiped his memory, just leave it wipe. You know what I mean? What's the difference?
Yeah, because did any characters actually like really die in this movie? I don't think so.
Palpatine maybe died, but we'll talk about that.
Well, that's
He
the thing
didn't
too.
die.
You can't even trust it. Like you.
Right.
I know it's all fiction and everything like that, but there has to be some rules, or else you just can't care. Like, you just can't kill people and just bring them back. Like, what is this? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's the point?
I agree. You didn't need a lot of explanation about how Palpatine came back, but you needed to provide something. Because it was pretty definitive at the end of Jedi that Palpatine was dead. And now it's like, nope, I'm alive, LOL. No, you have to say, like, Sith magic, resurrected, something. Even if it's stupid, just something. Not just like, I'm back now.
He was definitely dead, and I mean, Palpatine dying and being killed by Anakin at the end of Return of Jedi, just really kind of completes that whole cycle, and that he really was the chosen one. He really did kill the Emperor and bring peace to the galaxy. That was like his one sacrifice to atone for all the things that he did as Darth Vader.
Well,
Yeah.
The one thing I heard. The one thing that I heard that kind of confused me about Palpatine's resurrection. See, when I watched the movie initially, I took it as okay, so via Force or whatever, he survived the Death Star explosion. Somebody found him and hooked him up to that wherever those machines were. Got that. But then I heard people online saying, "Oh no, the Palpatine we saw in Return of the Jedi was a clone, and this is the original Palpatine." I'm like, what?
According to the novelization, which is dumb, you have to get material for a movie and another source, is that this version of Palpatine is a clone. The original one was killed in Jedi, and then this one is the actual clone. But again, it's like, okay, Rey destroys this one. Without like rules, what you're saying, Rick, without something that establishes the how and why he was able to come back, what's to stop that from happening again? Like, is the threat ever really going away? Which now that there's this out clause, he just magically came back. Yes, they say this is the last one, but it's kind of like, well, is he gone? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it cheapens the whole thing.
And as much as I hated the movie, the parts that I liked the least were definitely pretty much all the scenes on Exegol.
Yeah.
I just think that whole thing was really bad, and I don't know. There's just, and it's hard to describe. It just felt so empty.
I like how Disney ripped itself off by recreating the Avengers Endgame sequence. With like, oh no, the whole battle's lost, everyone. We're not gonna do it. And then Lando's like, hey Poe, it's Lando. Look over here, and like all the ships are coming.
Well, even just because I just remembered this right now, just to back up to the beginning a little bit more. There's a scene, and they have to like reuse all these scenes from Leia that they had shot in previous movies, obviously because she passed away. There's a scene where Rey's leaving the planet, or before she leaves the planet, she's going through her training exercises and doesn't do that well. Even though she's like amazing in like all the movies pretty much and can never be defeated, she goes to Leia and hands back the lightsaber and says, I'll take back Luke's lightsaber when I've earned it. And then literally one scene later, they're like, okay, now we have to leave to go to Exegol, and Leia's handing it back. And they really are only doing that because the only footage they really have is Leia handing and to reverse it, to take back the lightsaber. That whole scene, it was just so terrible.
Yeah, you brought up the Carrie Fisher. I gotta say, given what they did and how they did it, I thought they executed that as well as they could have. Given the situation, and I'm actually amazed. And I have to applaud whether it was J.J. Abrams or Disney or whoever was doing that, applauded to reuse that footage for and able to like place it into the movie. So that I gotta say that was an interesting thing to do, and how I think it largely worked in my opinion. Now, I don't disagree with what you're saying, Rick, how that was corny, how like, I don't want the lightsaber, I'm getting it back. But
I would have
preferred
her to have just been killed in that explosion in The Last Jedi, but obviously that didn't happen, so they did the best they could. But
yeah,
look, of all the dumb things in Star Wars, that's not the dumbest. Like come on. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's pretty dumb, but it's not the dumbest. It's not as dumb as Star Wars has gone before.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about something else that's dumb in this movie?
Oh, please do.
So many topics go on.
Mm-hmm.
Rey being Palpatine's granddaughter.
Yeah.
I didn't like that at all. I liked her being a nobody, but if they had to connect her to someone, it makes no sense. I mean, I guess there's some dramatic reveal that, oh no, she's really the evil person. But no.
Yeah, no, at the end of the first one, I thought it would be great if they could just roll forward this entire series, this entire 3 movies, with her just being a nobody.
But, yeah, like, I would have been fine with that.
But, and then I kind of thought, like, everybody thought that she would have been Luke's daughter, which would have been okay. But this was just like, Okay, I guess.
Or why couldn't she have just been an immaculate conception? I mean, isn't that what
Yeah.
happened to Anakin? Which no, that's never got really explained. It's like, oh, the midi-chlorians created this person. It's like, okay, well that seems pretty crazy, but nobody really talks about it.
Yeah.
Right. I would have liked, and I've mentioned this to you, Rick, before, and I like this theory ever since I heard it during The Force Awakens, that Rey was the reincarnation of Anakin Skywalker. I think that would have been interesting. That
Hmm.
would have been a good reveal. It would fall within the mythic stuff that Star Wars likes to
Yeah.
do. And also would tie back in with Palpatine, because if Palpatine's back, well, the Force needs someone to take him out again, and tie the whole three trilogies together as Anakin
Yeah.
being the chosen one to wipe out Palpatine. Like that would have been
Yeah.
interesting. She could still have had a existential crisis by saying like, well, if this is my choice, I have no free will or anything. And Luke would be like, listen, we knew, but we didn't want you to. We wanted you to do what you wanted to do. And mm. And you
I
could have Hayden Christensen pop in by saying like, hey Ray, you're me and I'm you, and let's figure this out together. I don't know, but
I'm more. I've kind of used this with friends, but to kind of steal a quote from another Disney movie, to paraphrase a quote from another Disney movie, not everyone can become a great Jedi, but a great Jedi can come from anywhere. And I think that was the message of at least the first, Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and then again that the whole. And I think just generally doing any sort, connecting it to any sort of legacy character at all, I think completely undercuts that message and completely undercuts what they were trying to do with Rey, which to me is like a big like swing, which is the biggest swing and the miss. Because like that's what made Rey interesting to me. Is like she's just this character. She exists in this world. You know she's only important because the Force wills her to be important. There's no ancient bloodline or this or that.
And I'm
I thought
totally
that.
fine with that. I thought it was I thought it was a cooler movie to see Rey pretty powerful like she was in The Force Awakens, and I it wasn't my top choice, but I think it was fine to have her come from nobody. I thought it was
Yeah, and she's
interesting.
a great central character too.
Yeah, I think she's a great character, but they also kind of failed to evolve her. She should have been evolved a little more. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
she's still like the scrappy outsider in all three movies, which you could excuse in the first two because they take place back to back. But there's like a year in between Last Jedi
Mm.
and Rise of Skywalker that there should have been some change in her personality or some change in her
Mm.
outlook.
Yeah.
There
And,
really,
Yeah.
and
really
basically
wasn't.
from start to finish, when she's like, I guess I'm Skywalker now, that just did not roll well with me. I'm like, you don't just like take a name without like anything behind it. It's like you're not a Skywalker, you're
Look,
still a Palpatine. It's like
Gorehound, she saw the Force Ghost. It's all cool, man. It's all right.
I was like, that is such a pitiful conclusion to Rey's journey. But
Hmm.
like, and even I couldn't get past it. Even it was like, it looks cool, but there's just
And,
it. I'm done with it.
and I will say this. Thank God she gave that reveal to the most important person in her life. Some random hermit
Yeah,
on
some random.
Tatooine.
Yeah,
Also, that farm is in the middle of nowhere. Like, she's lucky that someone was standing there for 5 minutes that she's standing there, so that
yeah.
she could say that to the camera.
Yeah. The hermit's like, I saw you burying those lightsabers. I think I might dig them up later.
Yeah, that could be
Sell
worth
them,
some money in the market.
Yeah,
sell them to the scrappers.
that's
Mhm.
the post-credit sequence they cut from the movie.
Right.
And one part of the movie, it kind of breaks the fourth wall a little bit too, where once Kylo comes back and starts talking to all his generals or whatever around the table, talking about, hey, I was just at Exegol, and Palpatine's gonna give us like this huge fleet of like 10,000 destroyers, and we only have like 50, and it's gonna be great. And one of the guys is like, why would he do that? Is there something behind this? Like, what does he need us for? Exactly. Why don't he just go do whatever he needs to do himself? And then Kylo just kills him. He's like, "Don't ask questions. It's a movie, damn it."
Yeah.
Shut up, sheep. Just follow through.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's even the most simplest of scenes in this movie kind of rubbed me the wrong way because they're like, it'll increase our forces 10 million fold, like some really like ridiculous number. I'm like it's like a child talking about like strategy. It's like that's not how any of this works or should work.
And it's really like, why does Palpatine need Kylo? I mean, first of all, it's not really clear like where all these ships came from. Were they made? Or did they just appear? Did he make them appear? I mean, he's got so many ships. He's more powerful than the First Order, which the First Order was already way more powerful than the Resistance by the time the Last Jedi came around. And it's like the only person standing in the way of all this is Rey, and Palpatine's asking Rey or Kylo to go kill her, but Kylo's already been bested by her like multiple times. You know what I mean? Like, what's the difference now?
Yeah.
And let's talk about that for a minute. I don't know if this was meant to be a sly reference back to the Phantom Menace, but Palpatine tells Kylo to kill Rey, but in reality, Palpatine needs Rey to come to him so he could transfer his power to her or something. Which reminds me of how in the Phantom Menace, Darth Sidious, young Palpatine, is like, "Hey, uh, hey Darth Maul, go get the Queen, kill her, bring her back. I need to sign that treaty." When in reality, he should have been like, "Hey, Darth Maul, make sure the Queen goes to Coruscant to tell how bad it is over here, so we could rig a special election. I could win." It's
Yeah.
like he's having orders against his own best interest.
It's like a Rube Goldberg machine of storytelling, you know?
You have a very good memory pulling back to the originals.
Yeah.
It's weird you referring to the Phantom Menace as one of the originals because, like, I don't look at it like that. I look at like the ones in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, this is one of the most weird, entire universes in timelines that people cannot figure out how to refer to anything.
I still maintain that overall this movie there's a good movie in there somewhere, but it needed like another draft. It needed some streamlining. It needed some nips and tucks. Like you had a traitor in the First Order, great. You have someone in the First Order who's working directly for Palpatine. Why couldn't it have been the one general we've seen in all three movies who hates Kylo Ren for some reason? Why do we have to introduce a brand new character out of nowhere? It's I don't know. They do go on too many detours. I think there's a good movie. I like the idea. I like the Force ideas. I like the dyad. Did they call it a dyad? A Force dyad?
Yeah.
That was interesting. I like that idea. That's neat. That's something new. It kind of like helps explain Rey and Kylo's connection, I guess. But it just
Look,
it's like they wrote the first draft and said, "Let's film this."
No, it's more like they were like, "Oh shit, we're behind schedule. But just get them in front of the cameras. We'll figure the story out as we go along.
We'll fix it in post."
Yeah, we'll fix it in editing. But yeah, because well, they kind of show off the one ability of like, oh, you can actually, like use the Force to actually travel where somebody is, and you can even take objects from location. Like they kind of explore that pretty well, but then they brushed over. It's a cool thing, and I did like that one fight where like Rey's on the ship and he's in the town. They're kind of I'm sure to somebody who's walking by that they're just fighting it. They're just like fighting the air or something. But the one
Star Wars kid.
Yeah.
Can I interrupt? I've got
yeah,
to disconnect. I wanted to give my final
Sure.
final verdict on it. Like I said, I'm not a Star Wars fan, and there were a lot of things that I don't pull logic out of films, but while I was watching this, there were a lot of things I'm like, that's weird. That's kind of stupid. But at the same time, like the imagery of the costumes and the environments was enough to keep me immersed in it. The ending was not good, confusing, illogical enough to pull me out of it. And at the end, it really started to fall apart on me because the environments and the characters weren't enough to pull me through. Like when Kylo and Ren like kissed, I was like, that's weird. I don't because I never really got like a conclusion on their relationship, but I was like, I'm still not sure where they're at, but sure, why not? So yeah, that's my end conclusion.
Well, let me
There's
ask you this: how many years before you think you'd watch this movie again?
I wouldn't.
That answers it right there.
But I also I'm not sure if I would. The first movie that I'd probably watch the Star Wars special before these.
Yeah, your
But
your view
I'm
on this is not the best right now.
I'm the exception to the Star Wars series because I watch very weird movies and I get obsessed with very weird things. So,
You're
but
welcome for me giving you that Star Wars special. I'm
yeah,
glad to know that's part of your Christmas tradition.
I'm trying to. It's very difficult to incorporate it, but I'm trying. So, but it was great speaking with you guys, and I look forward to speaking with you guys again.
All right, Gorehound, you have a good night.
Bye now.
Alrighty. So,
I guess I'm just shocked that Disney paid so much money for the Star Wars rights. And creating a brand new trilogy is so important to them. And the fact that they didn't have at least some sort of outline on where they thought this whole thing was going to kind of go and how the characters were going to go. And I realized that their plan was to kind of hand it to different directors, and that's what happened with the first three movies, right? It was George Lucas wrote and directed the first one. They then brought in Kasdan. Kasdan directed the next one. The next one was written by Kasdan, and they had another different director for Return of the Jedi. But like overall, there was some sort of concept.
Well, I will say that's probably why The Force Awakens was probably as good as it was, because you had, I think Lawrence Kasdan wrote the screenplay for that one.
Yes,
You know,
he was highly involved, and I don't know why they didn't bring him back because
I think he didn't want to come back. I think
he
after
understands
Solo,
more
he was
than
like,
Star Wars. He understands it more than George Lucas, I think.
yeah, which is surprising, but that's probably why that Force Awakens is as good as it is because you have somebody who's who really truly helped create and shape this universe. But I will say, kind of like I have a feeling probably we're not going to get another big bombastic trilogy for a while. I feel a lot of Star Wars is going to go smaller. I mean, have you guys had a chance to see the Mandalorian? I'm
I thought it
assuming
was
at this
very
point.
good for what it is. I thought it was very good. I think they did a great job.
I haven't watched it yet because I don't have Disney Plus.
I will if you. I will help you fix. I will help you fix that if need be.
I'm
But-
okay at the moment. I'm good.
But I mean, the main thing that I would say is kind of like, I think they put too much of their. I think the big issue with this movie and with the whole trilogy itself, I think they put too much of their faith in J.J. Abrams, and I think he's a good director. I think he can direct Star Wars well, but the big issue, I mean, you said it before, Rick, the writing, half of this movie was written by J.J. Abrams, and I think he likes to direct Star Wars. I don't think he necessarily knows how to write or craft a story for Star Wars. because you look at someone like you look at Jon Favreau, and I'm going to probably say the bigger influence, Dave Filoni. I mean, Filoni, basically took that garbage Clone Wars animated movie and made a series that I think a lot of people would respect and love, and even I know some people didn't really like Rebels. I'm in the probably minority that liked it, but you know, but you look at the stuff that he's been involved with Star Wars name on it, and I would say for the most part, it's been people who aren't generally Star Wars fans like it, and people who are those hardcore Star Wars fans usually will eat it up, and it's like very much why he was more involved with a lot of these these newer sets of movies. That's eternally is a mystery, which hopefully because I know he did some because he's mostly in animation, but I do know he did direct some of the episodes of The Mandalorian, so possibly maybe they're grooming him for like, okay, you have the reins now, kid. Try to, make us a hit.
Yeah, and I agree. I think what's a shame is so JJ seems to be really good at reimagining and starting things, but he's not good at finishing things or getting deep into things. And some examples of that are, I think Lost, the show, was an amazing concept, and I got really sucked into it. And all those mystery boxes he creates are amazing and interesting. But then it goes on and on and on and on. It begins to get weird, and it gets okay. We can't really solve all these mysteries, and oh God, what does it all mean, and how do we end it? And like Lost gets very confusing. And then you look at the Star Trek. He reimagined Star Trek, and it was a great first movie, and the visuals and the characters were interesting, and the story was even good for the first movie. But then he goes and he basically rewrites another Star Wars movie, and it was a disaster. I can't remember what the name of the movie was, but I
Into
really hated
Darkness.
In the Darkness. I hated that movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was J.J. Abrams. So, I think he was
Well,
great for the first movie, and I think the only reason they brought him back is because they had another director and another writer, and they fired him.
Yes,
And
let's
I
talk
think they
about
were
that.
like, just bring him in and please just fix it. Do whatever you have to fix it. And I think he didn't want to. I didn't think he was excited about it. I think I paired up with a writer who I forget what he wrote, but whatever it is, it was not super impressive.
Chris
It was like
Terrio
B
wrote.
movies. Like, so
Chris,
bring it up.
what,
You could Google it. What else did he write?
Chris Terrio has written
Maybe
Argo,
movies
which
such as
was has written the
yeah,
movie
that movie was
Argo, which is the
oh,
best movie of 2012, I think, for won that. He also won the best adapted screenplay. But following that, he wrote um, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, Justice
ooh,
League,
yeah.
and then
ooh,
Rise of Skywalker.
ooh.
And
Oh my.
upcoming, he has Zack Snyder's Justice League. So
Oh,
um, he's running off that Academy Award win of
Like,
Argo.
I don't understand.
no.
Disney could pick whoever they wanted to write this movie. I mean, why would you just go to the bottom of the barrel like that? It doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I will say this is after I did not know who that individual was, that the Chris Terrio, but knowing with you telling me that now, that means J.J. Abrams has done a two for two. He's introduced to the world of general science fiction pop, movies. He's introduced this guy, or this guy's, and then he's also brought us to the world Alex Kurtzman, who successfully has butchered, is leading Star Trek into, I guess, the ground because they're not making any more movies, and
Well,
Discovery is a mess.
let's talk about that briefly. The reason I'm not making any more Star Trek movies is because Beyond bombed at the box office, which Kurtzman had nothing to do with.
Which is a shame. That's actually a really good, like, that's just a good movie, in my
That's
opinion.
Paramount's fault altogether.
Yeah.
They they did not market that movie well at
Yeah.
all. But I digress. This is the Star Wars
Yeah.
podcast, not the Star Trek one.
Yeah.
I don't blame JJ for what happened to Star Wars. There were so many things against this movie, so many things. I blame Disney. I blame the what's her name, the girl that's in charge of Star Wars,
Kathleen Kennedy.
Kathleen Kennedy. I think JJ was brought in there just to I don't think he gave a crap. I think he was just given a paycheck and said just clean this up the best you can. And I think he couldn't have gotten out of there quick enough. With them making all the changes they were making. Bringing in George Lucas. I think I can't blame him at all.
Well, the way that because they wanted to turn, I think some of the issues is they wanted to turn Star Wars into Marvel. They're like, we want, because how many Marvel movies, you'd get like what, two or almost two, at one point it was like 2 or 3 a year, but they wanted to try to turn Star Wars into like Marvel franchise. We're just going to keep pumping out things. And I think just if you have like a clear vision, that's fine. But I don't think
Marvel
they
had quite the plan, quite the ingenious plan, and the
Yeah.
writing is top notch. I'm not even a huge. I mean, obviously I love the movies, but I'm not even a huge fan. Like I haven't seen all of them. I couldn't tell you which one comes first and which one comes next. I don't read the comics, but I'll tell you, any one that I watch is amazing.
I would say that for the most part, you can't. The Marvel movies are pretty top quality in terms it's pretty hard to have like a bad time. Like if you just want to pop out a movie, it's like, yeah, I'm going to enjoy this.
I mean, everyone can't be an
I'll
A plus if
rewatch
there's
it.
like 30 of them, but I rewatched Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's just like it's such good writing, and such good filming, and it's way better than what they did with Star Wars for sure.
Yeah, and I think they were trying to do too much too fast, and I think it's just burnout. I think they went too hard. I think they tried turning Star Wars into something from something that was special and a lot of people cherished into something that they can just pump out as quickly as possible. And I think the results kind of speak for themselves. Honestly, when I went into going back to the winter of 2017, I think that's when Last Jedi came out. I was kind of like, I guess I'm going to go see this one. I wasn't really too. After Rogue One, I was like, yeah, how many? I guess it's going to be another Star Wars, yeah. But then Last Jedi kind of perked me up, like, okay, I want to see what they do next. I'm actually interested. And then, kind of hearing how Solo is not very good, although my one buddy liked it, but I still have yet to
I thought it was okay.
I think Solo's the strongest of all the Disney era Star Wars movies.
Okay.
Hashtag change my mind.
Yeah.
I'm just shocked by how low we've gotten, right? Like I remember, dude, I had Star Wars on VHS and then another copy in VHS and then DVD and Blu-ray, and I was like, man, I can't wait to get it on 4K someday. And the hype around when Episode 1 came out and all, those movies were kind of a disappointment. But then, hype when the new movies were coming out, The Force Awakens, I loved that movie, and then I didn't like The Last Jedi, and this movie is just garbage, and I had the posters, and it's just, like, I am just not excited or not interested in any more Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like they've totally, like, burst the balloon, all the air is gone. You know what I mean? Like, I cannot believe, like, if you went back and told teenager Rick about what was going to happen, I would be like, I don't believe you. That's impossible.
That's impossible. Let's I want to briefly talk about the supposed original script written by Colin Trevorrow, who was the original director of this movie. Have you guys seen? It's one of my favorite YouTube / podcasts, Mr. Sunday Movies, who did a animated version of a humorous animated version of the supposed original script. Have you guys?
I've heard of it, and I've seen some of the concept art of what they were trying to do, which looks a lot more interesting than what we got. But please guide us.
It's interesting in that it feels like it's an actual follow-up to The Last Jedi. Rose has more of a role in it. Um, Kylo Ren's the villain. He's kind of gone off on the deep end in terms of like researching the Sith and trying to take down Rey and all that. He's really not running the First Order. Like he's in charge, but like the generals are doing stuff. Um, and he tries to get trained by the guy who trained, I guess, Palpatine way back when. He found out some way to get to that, and um, Kylo Ren essentially never goes good. He's bad throughout the entire thing. Obviously, a lot of it hinged on Carrie Fisher being alive, so that wouldn't have worked out. I don't think it's that much better of a movie based on just the bits I've seen. It's definitely interesting. And it definitely feels like more of a natural conclusion to what this trilogy did. One of the problems I had with this overall trilogy is that while I thought it was interesting overall, it really felt like it was a sequel in the most specific sense of the word, because like the main story from episodes 1 through 6, if you watch it chronologically, is that the Emperor's bad guy, Darth Vader is a good, he falls, he comes back, he defeats the villain, boom, end of story, there's no more. And then, oh wait, now there's this new villain that these new characters are fighting in this universe. I will give Rise of Skywalker some credit that they tried to like tie it all back into the original movies by having Palpatine pop up again, but it's so ham-fisted that it's like, why? Had they done Trevorrow's version, I think people would have complained for a different reason, that the whole sequel trilogy feels disconnected from the first 6. But I don't know if that would have been a better way to go. I mean, I don't know.
I forgot to mention it, but I felt like the what was the Knights of Ren? They literally all they do is they just show them and they're just standing there, and then another shot, they're just standing there. Okay, go search the area, and they just walk away, and then they get killed very quickly by Kylo. I mean, they're totally wasted. They shouldn't even been in the movie because they were barely in there.
Well, and that's kind of like, I think one of the big sort of J.J. Abrams mystery boxes from the first movie is like, this is Kylo Ren. He's part of the Knights of Ren. Who are the Knights of Ren? You'll find out. Just keep watching the movies. And here they are. There's some guys dressed in black. They have a chimp making their armor, I guess.
Well, I think that's the problem is that, so you've got Rian Johnson comes in and goes, well, screw those mystery boxes. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And we're going to do these things that maybe don't really fit with the trilogy, but we're going to do them anyways. And then now Johnson comes back and, he's like, okay, well, screw everything that Ryan did. I'm going to make Rey is not a nobody. She's Palpatine's daughter. You mean so each director is like screwing whatever the person did previous, and it just ruins it for us, the audience, because there's no continuity then,
Well, and that's exactly the big issue is because instead of embracing like, okay, this is where we were left off, let's try to just move forward. They're like, no, we got to double back. We got to make all these all these like really hardcore fans happy, which is just like, no, try to make just make a natural conclusion to the story, because like we know how. Everything you can almost, I'm sure there will probably be people will dissect this trilogy for years of like, all the similarities to the original trilogy. Because even this one, after rewatching, I was like, well, the scene with Rey and the Emperor at the end, it's pretty damn close to, to Luke and the Emperor in Return of the Jedi. They're sitting in a room watching all the rebellion ships getting destroyed, saying the only chance you have to save them is to join me or to join my plan. It's very much the same. I know there's the George Lucas quote where it's like poetry, it rhymes, but it's less of poetry and more just like, well, we're just copying what we did before because that worked fine the first time. If it ain't broke, why fix it? But and that's the real missed opportunity, is that you had a chance to do something new, to be distinctly its own thing, but it's so all three of these movies are so focused on what happened before, and how great those movies were, how great these stories were, that it's like we had an opportunity. You had some great setups for characters. Like, another one of my $1 million ideas to fix this movie, which, again, I don't know why they didn't, and I'm sure maybe at one point I wouldn't be surprised if this was an idea. So you have Finn, who's arguably in the world of the sequel trilogy, as far as the audience knows, the only First Order trooper who's kind of gone rogue on their own, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he meets a group of others who've kind of done that. They're like, oh, it was tough, it was scary, but we did it. And then you have two groups. You have the First Order, who are the traditional white, in their white stormtrooper armor, and then the Final Order, or whatever. The stupid name, by the way, just a really dumb name. They couldn't come with.
Oh
Which,
yeah, it's like a play in First Order, and it's like a Hitler World War II thing.
Yeah,
it's really stupid.
Thank God they didn't say Final Solution. That would have gone. I'm sure that would have gone over well.
But it's almost as bad as like George Lucas's execute Order 66.
Yeah, that's close
Order
enough to stick.
666.
But what they should have been setting up, what they set up is Finn being, Finn kind of. Like I said earlier, they should have set up a moment where like Finn gets to that tower, that communications tower, and he communicates to all the First Order ships, say, kind of inspires them, like, look, I know, they have this message of like, fear is how they keep you in control, but that's all that they have, and basically you could, because all the Sith, all of the Final Order troopers, are in red. It's like, that's a great contrast. You have the First Order distinctly in like white or the old style of like Imperial look, and then you have these newer guys that have more red to them. It's like there's a way to distinct it, and I thought that's what they were going to go for, but they never did. And it's just another one of the many missed opportunities that they could have gone for, and there was enough to set it up where like you could have done that, and they just didn't, for reasons that we don't know, that only like the writers would ever truly figure out.
Yeah,
Hey,
I think
cuz.
that the new series seems like such a small universe, very small universe.
Hey, cuz, that reminds me, I got something to tell you later.
Okay.
And I'll never actually tell you it. I'm just going to keep telling you I have something to tell you, but I'll never say what it is.
Perfect. Like the reason I
Man,
say that small
I'm so
universe is
excited.
like when you watch that Mandalorian, and it's like they'll have like, oh, the Empire's over. Oh, here I used to be a stormtrooper, now I'm not anymore. So I'm doing whatever I'm doing on the side. Or here's a bunch of stormtroopers for hire, and they're all dirty, and they're working for a gangster or whatever. Like that's interesting. That's world building. I just felt like this
Like-
whole trilogy just felt like such a small world.
Yeah, a small world only focused on like a handful of important people. This whole Star Wars universe focuses on a handful of important families, and that's it.
And then having to go back to the Death Star and everything. Like I did find like the Force Awakens to expand a little bit, where like even though it starts off on a desert planet again, I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go with it. But the fact that she's going into these old ships that have like crashed because they were part of a war and crashed on the planet or whatever. Maybe that's why the planet is desert like that, because there was a war and these things crashed and messed with the atmosphere or something like that. That was interesting. That felt like world building. You know what I mean? Like seeing the dirtiness, this old equipment and stuff.
Well, even kind of giving praise to the Force Awakens, that her in that little like scavenger camp. It's like, yeah, these are how the people on this world operate. They go out, they find stuff, they try to sell it. There's little details that make there's always been little details in Star Wars that's always made it feel more alive and more lived in. Um, but this movie just did not have. I mean, they have the looks, the aesthetic, but it just like none of it feels like.
They
None of
don't
it
feel like
feels
real
like.
places. They feel like
Yeah,
sets a lot, you know.
like no, like when you're a kid, everybody's like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to go to Hoth? Wouldn't it be cool to go to, to be in a Star Destroyer? There are places that kind of stick in your mind. I mean, is there any place from this new trilogy, maybe outside of the Coachella planet? Because I'm pretty sure they had some. I'm pretty sure they had some good drugs there.
The other thing is
Outside,
like, Empire Strikes Back. If you go and watch that again, the strategies and the techniques and decisions that people make all make sense. Like if you go with the whole Hoth invasion, for example,
Mhm.
they're sending out these probes to all these different worlds trying to find this rebel base. There's a report that one of them found something on the Hoth planet. The general messes up, says, I don't believe that they're really there, and they come in out of light speed too close to the planet. They get detected. The rebels are able to put up their shields so they can't bombard them from space, and then to land farther out and walk under the shield. I mean, just so much strategy, and like even though this is all fake and we don't actually have spaceships that fly in space and like that, there's like if there was a world like this and they had technology like this, what would really happen and how would the bad guys mess up and cause a strategic error and how would they react and all that felt very real. It felt like a real battle that could happen that you could read about in the history books, but stuff like that doesn't happen in these new movies. There's no strategic, nothing like, makes sense. It's just whatever's written on
Uh,
a piece of paper.
well,
Rick,
Rick,
I disagree with that because if you remember in Last Jedi, Rose said to Finn, "Love is going to save them," and then he kissed her,
Oh,
no,
and
no, she
that
kissed him.
was strategy.
Yeah.
I say yes.
Um, Rick, they should have tried spinning. That's a good trick.
Right, yeah, perfect, exactly.
Cause I have a question for you, and this is going to go back a ways back.
Okay.
If you remember, we went to go see Revenge of the Sith when it came out way back
Yeah.
in 2005, and
Oh,
and one of the things you said after leaving the movie, one of the first things you said, this always stuck in my head was, "Well, they didn't explain what happened to Jar Jar." One, do you feel that way right now? And two, do you feel the same that they didn't explain things at the end of this trilogy? And if so, which one is the bigger thing you feel more passionate about?
well, I truly want to know what happened to Jar Jar because in hindsight, he ruined everything. He was like, yeah, we should give Palpatine, make him Chancellor for life. Um,
I think the
oh my
worst
god,
thing
that's
is when you get to the end of a trilogy like this that they mess up so bad. The worst answer you could give is, does it really matter? Because you can come out. We're all nerds, and you come out of these movies and you go, well, what about this? What about that? And the questions and everything. But when you come out and your expectations have been just smushed so low, and you just come out and you go, it doesn't even matter. The questions don't even matter.
well, like
That's the worst feeling.
like I mean, I still want to know what happens to Jar Jar, but I mean, but yeah, like because of how many things that happen in this movie so quickly and just in such a rapid fire, like go go go. Like yeah, you kind of want to know because there's so many things that are introduced and then excuse me, and then brushed aside. That's like how can we care about anything when it's like at one point in the movie they introduced the fact that Poe was a spice runner, which unless you're one of those Star Wars fans that was into like the expanded universe, you're like, what is that? Why the hell do I care? But there's this whole aspect to him that we never kind of get into, and it doesn't
Right.
really add anything in the grand scheme of things. Um, like so, when your movie is introducing big things that seem like they should be important, that seem big, but then decides, yeah, we're not going to do anything with it really. It's like, well, I feel gypped. It's like you want to ask you're asking these questions, but you're not even trying to attempt to give the audience, give us an answer that makes the story feel satisfying at all. It's like, well, we're introducing stuff, and then we're just going to roll on. We're just going to roll on from there.
There were a lot of
Oh,
things
cuz
shot
that
that I think
reminds
were
me.
just to look good in the trailer, you know.
Cuz that reminds me. Remember to. I gotta tell you something later.
Okay. Oh man, I hope it's really important. I wonder what my parents are.
To finish
Yeah.
this, you guys want to do kind of like a quick ranking? I know there's 9 movies, so I mean, let's
Oh,
not rank them all, but where do you see this kind of fitting in, you know,
Ooh.
out of the 9 main ones?
it's I'll start with that because it's tough to rank because the lesser of the Star Wars movies, they're they all have their own individual problems. So it's tough to compare. Like Phantom Menace has its own structural problems that are bring the movie down heavily. Um,
Well, there's still fun to be
compared,
had in that movie.
sure. Just-
Pod
uh,
racing.
oh god, the pod race.
Yeah.
That was so boring for me.
Oh, I love that.
I'm glad you did. Someone has to, but um, because and then like Attack of the Clones has its own issues, and it's tough to compare because they're different issues that do different things that bring the movie down in a different way. I mean, the prequels, as bad as they can be, at least they don't feel like they're made by committee the way Rise of Skywalker is. Um,
hmm
I mean, I don't know
You
if I
know,
can rank them
the
without
one
thinking.
thing that I can say is that in the end, us Star Trek nerds win. Right? It was always Star Trek versus Star Wars, and well, who came up on top? I think Star Trek. The Star Trek movies are far superior now, I would think.
Let's see. There's 13 Star Trek movies. Uh, 2, 4, 6, 8, 11. So 6 good ones.
Like
And
out of the original TOS and the TNG, I would say that the worst of those movies is better than the worst of the Star Wars movies for sure.
I'll give you that. Like Final Frontier is not a good movie, but boy, is it wildly entertaining.
I would watch that movie way more than I watch a lot of these Star Wars movies.
That's what Star Wars should have had. They should have had a character going up to a cosmic being and say, "What does God need with a starship? What does the Emperor need with a Death Star?" There you go. Boom. I've just
Exactly.
solved Star Wars. Disney, cut me the check.
Yeah.
Like it.
Jim, you don't ask the Almighty for his ID.
I'm asking a question. Um,
For my ranking, I would say episode 2 and episode 9 are definitely the worst. The most boring. I cannot watch them. I cannot watch those movies.
I think I'll agree with you on that. I'll agree with you on that. I do think 9 will edges out too, just because in terms of quality, I think it's a much, in terms of like acting and like the look of everything, it definitely edges out, and that's not just because the the CGI effects, which are a little dated in 2. It's more just like everything in that world. I will say again, as I mentioned earlier, props to the creative design teams who came up with all these creatures and some of these locations. Look wise, some of the creatures are memorable, which I'll give them credit for.
Yeah, if you pause the movie and look in the background, there's some interesting creatures that they make.
And you just think of all the time that went into like designing something that's maybe on screen for like less than a minute. It's amazing, but it's like, man, that's such a waste of such a good artist work and time and energy.
It's a shame because it just feels like if you pause it and you look at some of those characters, like you can imagine a way more interesting character or story than what they actually do flesh out on screen,
I think we can. Oh, what were you gonna say, Nick?
I was going to say something. It's off topic. I was going to say something positive. And this is with the marketing for this movie, is that I remember when the first trailer came out, and I remember this for two reasons that I was pleasantly surprised with. One is that unlike other movies, because so much is released online nowadays that it's hard to be surprised by like a trailer when it comes out. But I didn't know the title of this movie until the trailer came and the title popped up at the end of it. I was visually taken aback, like, oh my gosh, I realized I didn't know what this movie was actually being called. So it was nice to be surprised with that. And also, I'm also impressed with how quiet they kept, and this could be because they did reshoots, but how quiet they kept the Emperor and what's his name? Ian McDermott? No, the
Ian
guy who plays
McKellen.
Ian McKellen.
Yeah, but he was in
Oh,
the trailer.
Right. I mean, I didn't know that, how quiet they kept that until the trailer had his laugh. Like so many movies, that would have leaked like months earlier.
Well,
Um,
also because
yeah.
everyone was very confused. Like they were like, "Oh, the guy that plays the doctor, he's gonna be in it," and then he wasn't, and everyone's like, "What the hell happened?" Well, it turned out that he cut him out.
yeah. Well,
So there was confusion.
be that as it may, I was pleasantly surprised to be surprised, which is something that never ever happens. You mentioned Star Trek Into Darkness. When that movie came out, like I purposely avoided all the trailers. I went into that movie blind because I did not want to be spoiled by anything, especially with some of the mysteries they were trying to come up with. So, and that was hard to do. And this was back in 2012, I think. Um,
And weren't you already
so
spoiled because you've seen the movie before? It was called Star Trek 2.
Star Trek. Well, I didn't know it was going to be that bad at the time. Star Trek Into Darkness is like 4/5 of a decent movie, and then it goes off the rails the minute Spock screams "Khan." But that's beside the point. Um, so I gotta give credit where credit's due. I was happy to be actually surprised by something in a marketing material because that never happens anymore. So kudos on whoever was in charge of that.
Uh, the only I will say, if we're going to talk about surprises, and again, this is one of my few positives I had from the movie. I was surprised that Wedge makes an appearance.
Oh,
He does?
Yeah, he's
it's
the old.
real quick
Mm.
It's like when
at the
after
end.
yeah, at the very end, Lando brings in, and like I think there's like the Millennium Falcon shoots on a ship, and then you cut to like Wedge in like a cockpit going, great shooting, Lando," or some. It's like something like that. It's like really fast. I'm like, oh hey, it's. I don't know what the actor's name is. I feel bad for not. I could just Google it,
Dennis
but
Larson, I think, but don't quote me on that.
yeah. But
Ian
I was like,
McKellen, Ewan McGregor's uncle or something. It's weird. They're actually related.
really?
Fun fact.
Well, there we go.
All right.
But yeah, that was like the only thing where I was like, oh, I don't think anyone else in my theater knew who that was. Like I was with like Megan and two of our friends, and they were like, I don't think any of them like it registered with them, as far as I know. Now, if they listen to this podcast and tell me differently, I do apologize.
Let's be honest with ourselves. They're not going to listen to this podcast.
Well, you never know. You never know.
We're literally wasting our time doing this, but that's okay.
Well, it's still shorter than the movie was, so.
That's
Well,
true. We're saving
I
you
will-
time, people.
Yeah, I will say it feels very therapeutic to kind of get all this out of the open, because I've been yeah, even after just rewatching the movie tonight to get it fresh in my head, I'm like, man. Again, the main thing is just this is dumb. This is dumb even by Star Wars standards, and they expect us to buy a lot of dumb things, which I go, yeah, it makes sense. I'll go for it.
All right. Well, I got nothing else. I mean, if anyone else has any final thoughts, I think we've exhausted this topic the way The Last Jedi has exhausted us. I still maintain there are things in this movie that are interesting. I think there's a good movie in there somewhere, but they I don't know, they decided to make poor decisions here and there. But it was a lackluster way to end on what started off fairly promising of the Disney era of Star Wars movies, and then yeah.
My final thoughts. Let's put the movies on hold for a little while. Let's not do any more trilogies. Just keep it small. Just pump me out and just give me another season of The Mandalorian, and I'm good. Give me that Baby Yoda. I just want me my Baby Yoda, my Mando. This is the way. All that fun garbage.
I'm just happy we don't have to talk about Star Wars again on this podcast, probably, because there aren't going to be any more movies for a while. This is it, people. We've covered all the Star Wars movies of the Disney era.
Oh, you wait. I'm sure they probably got something cooking up their sleeves.
Wow. Be that as it may, it's a book that could be closed.
Thank God.
Yeah, Rick, any final thoughts on your end?
I got no final thoughts. I'm glad it's over with. Excited for The Mandalorian. I guess what they're working on next is maybe Ryan Johnson might do a trilogy. Still, they are thinking about doing Ryan Johnson again, and he might do the Old Republic, something in the Old Republic.
I remember that being having the rumor mill for a while, but then after Last Jedi, that was kind of, it sounded a little bit more up in the air. But I would still.
Yeah, but it sounds like it's back now. It was gonna go. It was then gonna go to the Game of Thrones guys, and that's why they finished up the last season so fast. But then after that became a disaster. They got rid of them. But it might be going back to Ryan Johnson again.
Thank
Who
God.
knows? They probably don't know what's going on. They're just letting the dust settle before they start things up again.
Well, also, the rumor is that Disney's so low on money right now with everything going on. Like rumor is that they have like $6 billion in the bank.
Oh, only $6 billion.
Well, I mean,
I have that same problem.
if you think about they spent like I think it was over $100 billion for like Star Wars. I mean, $6 billion is
I
like
thought it was
nothing.
$4 billion that they spent on Star Wars.
I don't know what it was, but they spent. I mean, they spent a lot of
Yeah.
money on that compared to how much money they have in the bank. But I don't think they'll be making any movies for a while.
Well, hey, do you guys want to go watch Artemis Fowl after this?
No.
I'm gonna go watch Star Trek V.
Actually, yeah, I think we should all go watch Star Trek V. For the audience at home, that's your homework this weekend.
And then come back to this podcast and check out our Star Trek V podcast, which we did several years ago.
You guys want to finish this out with a little row your boat?
Not particularly, but you go for us, Rick. I trust you implicitly.
That's what they think in Star Trek V.
I
Around
know.
the campfire.
Yep.
Good scene. I love this scene. Great movie. Great
I'm
movie.
sorry, that's actually really funny.
All right, yeah, that's good. That's a perfect ending. We're just going to end this now, so we'll see you next time, people. You've been listening to the all-new CultureCast. We try to post new episodes every Monday evenings 3 to 4 times a month. Check out our backlog. We can be found at allnewculturecast.libsyn.com. You can also find us on Apple iTunes and wherever else podcasts can be downloaded and listened to. This has been the all-new CultureCast, a Saltwater production. Original material, copyright 2020. Thanks for listening.
By the way, I don't know if you very much ever said this, but your voice sounds almost exactly like one of the guys on Red Letter Media.
Really?
Which one?
I don't know whether there's like three main guys. There's like one guy's like really tall, the other guy is like a little shorter, a little more heavy set. You sound like him.
Rich Evans?
Rich Evans.
Is it Rich Evans?
Oh, cause you're our very own Rich Evans, apparently. So
I thought that was who was. I'm like, who's your cousin? Jeez.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
superstar.
I'm a huge fan.
If my cousin was Rich Evans, you think I'd be wasting my time on the internet with you people?
Probably.
I'd be getting some of that sweet Red Letter Media money.
Take care.
All right.
Adios.
Cool. I'll get this edited and up out this week, I think. So we'll be good.
Awesome. I
All right.
appreciate it, Nick. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
That
Thanks
was
for stopping by. And it's
And
been
Rick,
fun.
it was nice, nice meeting you. Hopefully we do more of these in the future.
Yeah, for sure. There you go.
All right. All right. I gotta sign off, guys. So I will talk to y'all later.
All right. Thanks a
All
lot.
right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Good night.